Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome to the Piper Report. So you gotta love Nancy Pelosi. She always puts a smile on my face, no matter what. Not because she is funny, but because she is so incredibly sad. Now, many of you probably watched the Stephen Miller and Jake Tapper debate they had on CNN, and it got quite hectic. Both of them acted quite dictatorial. They were bossy. They wanted to get their points across. Eventually, after Stephen Miller was calling Jake Tapper out and CNN out for reporting on fake news stories after fake news stories, Jake Tapper said that's enough, and he basically cut the interview. He stopped the interview because he was being called out, and CNN was being called out for disseminating fake news. Now, Nancy Pelosi, being the woman that she is, who should be in a psych ward, I've said this countless times, I mean that with all due respect, she does need help, and I think that if she would check herself in to some type of rehab facility where she can get her cognitive abilities checked out, I think you will see her just have a better life. Maybe she can retire with John McCain. But anyways, I digress. So Nancy Pelosi, who saw the interview, who apparently loves CNN more than anything, decided to give her opinion of it. Give her opinion of what she thought of the interview and what she thinks, by extension, of Stephen Miller. Well, here's her tweet.
The bigoted worldview that Bannon pushed remains at the White House. White supremacists still have the ear of Trump and are shaping national policy through their hate-filled lenses. Yes, that means Stephen Miller, who must be removed.
Okay. There was no race issue brought up in that interview. There was some discord between the two. You could tell that there was definitely hostility there and definitely some type of political polarization because they were not agreeing at all. But to say that this involves race, that the reason that Stephen Miller acted this way, calling out fake news, which is CNN, calling out CNN, which is fake news, reverse that, had nothing to do with race. It had everything to do with the authenticity of the material that they are posting. But Nancy Pelosi, she always sees what she wants to see. She always thinks there's something there. Even though you can show her, word for word, bring up the material, tell her something verbatim, her mind, because she's mentally ill, perceives it as something else. Another great example is when she and Maxine Waters were doing a press conference, and she said George Bush instead of Donald Trump, and when Maxine Waters said Putin invaded Korea, she basically was nodding her head the whole time too. So, I mean, right there alone, she is one of California's most prominent congressional figures. I mean, they view her as a sanctimonious creature, for lack of a better phrase. And yet, I mean, she's the minority leader, for God's sakes. And yet, she makes these outrageous, outlandish, just comments that have absolutely no basis in fact at all. No basis in fact. And every day she does it. Her and Maxine Waters does this. And now we're even seeing this. We're starting to see this from Kamala Harris. There is a copious amount of these fake news stories coming out, and those in the DNC who are believing these fake stories and then tweeting about these fake stories. And it's going to come back to bite them. It's going to come back and bite them. So that's interesting here. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you enjoyed Nancy Pelosi, because you gotta love her. You gotta love her, not in a meaningful way, not in a way that you think her a good person, because she's not. She is not. Nancy Pelosi is not a good person at all. She seems like she would be because she's so mentally incompetent. But the truth is that she is just as racist as those she claims are racist. I mean, most people, primarily leftists, regressives, cultural Marxists, they're under this illusion that you cannot be racist against white people. That is completely false. Racism is when you treat somebody different because of their race. Well, BuzzFeed does that all the time against the white race. I mean, I won't get into the whole identitarianism issue here, but to say that white people cannot experience racism, which is kind of what Nancy Pelosi implies quite often, is just nonsensical. It's nonsensical and lacks any basis in fact. And I'm done.